The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse Ewing. This is the habit-based lifestyle where you can access your full potential right now. Finally break free from destructive habits. That dream life, if you want it, you can have it. This is where you transform your health, mind, business, and relationships, or do nothing and keep your life the way it is. But if you're ready for change, you're in the right place. This is where you're gonna learn how to live a habit-based lifestyle. You are tuning in to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Ewing. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle. Let's go.
All right, cool. So today we're going to be going through 3 steps to stop a bad habit. And we're going to be doing a little bit of role playing with this. I'm also going to draw this out on the whiteboard. So if you guys are following along, make sure if you're watching the replay, if you're following along, make sure that you walk through this step by step so that you can get the most out of this training. So biggest thing that we're looking at is the number one thing that we need to start doing when we're looking at stopping a bad habit is focusing on creating a new habit. And what that means is a lot of times the emphasis we want to put on stopping the bad habit is we put all the emphasis on the bad habit versus focusing on creating a new habit. So we create a new positive habit first, because part of habits is learning the skill of how to do them. But also a lot of times when we start with a new habit first, we're focusing on something that's going to help us improve. Okay. So if you guys think about this, like 3 steps to stopping a bad habit. Okay. So step 1 is focus on the new habit. Okay. And so by us being able to do that, what is a new habit that you may want to start implementing? Shoni, we'll start with you first.
Just getting in a better habit of taking care of myself as far as exercise. That is
okay. So you want to focus on a new habit of exercise
more consistently. Yes.
Okay. And how many days a week are you currently doing that?
3.
Okay. So 3 days a week. And what are you doing?
Well, right now, all I've been doing is like say treadmill. I just bought a kettlebell. I do light weights. I do just like planks, some leg exercises, things like that. I have not been going to the gym like I used to do though. So,
okay. And then kind of like the home workout.
Yeah.
And how long do you do that? 30 minutes, 60 minutes?
About 30. Every now and then 20. I'll just stop early for whatever reason that I've made up in my mind. It's a good idea.
All right. So we'll say 20 to 25 minutes. Okay. Kim, what's one habit that you want to focus on doing that's new, like a new habit you want to create?
I would say consistency on the weekends.
With what specifically?
Oh, everything. Maybe my morning routine. Okay.
So morning routine. What's usually the first thing you do with a morning routine? Like what would be the first habit that you would do?
So lemon water is my first thing. I'm pretty consistent with that already.
Okay. Is there another habit? So say you're already doing lemon water.
Probably exercise on the weekends.
Cool. Exercise. Yeah. Okay. So you guys are kind of both there. Okay. Let's look at it this way, right? If I want to focus on the new habit, I have to begin to develop the skill of doing that. Now, one of the things that I see is, most of the time when we start a new habit, it's too big, right? And so we end up not doing it. So what I would look at this is getting a certain amount of steps in per day could be something that you may want to focus on for you, Shoni, is not actually getting on the treadmill, but maybe even going outside and going for a walk. And the reason why is like, I feel like sometimes for us, if we're sitting a lot all day long, if we make sure we get in a certain amount of steps a day, usually, just say 10,000 steps a day is kind of like where we want to be. Now you might not be there, but the first place we want to do is start kind of tracking what we're doing. Okay. So step one in this would be kind of like redesigning our habit. Okay. So one would be like tracking steps daily. Okay. Step two would be, going for a walk. What's a habit that you already do daily? Do you make coffee? Do you drink any like water or anything like that as kind of like one of your main things you do in the morning?
Yes. The same way. I drink lemon water first thing in the morning, usually warm lemon water, and then coffee. And that's without fail every morning.
Okay, cool. So let's make a habit recipe. So and then what we do is we put in our anchor habit. So after I anchor habit for you, it's going to be lemon water. Okay. I go for a walk. Okay. How long would you go for a walk typically? Like, do you guys live in like suburbs? Do you live where you can go for a walk for like 10, 20 minutes?
Oh yeah. We have a walking trail. I'm looking at it right now. I mean, I have no excuse.
Okay. So after I drink my lemon water, I go for a walk. How long you want to walk for? Realistically, like we can start small and then we can work our way up. Remember, we want to make it a habit.
I'd say realistically 30 minutes if I'm outside to start.
Okay. I'm actually going to put you at 20 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. How many days a week do you think you could do this?
To start 3. That seems to be my number. And I've got to commit to 3, but I want to go.
Okay. So I would rather you do more days and less time.
Okay. So
if that makes sense. So yeah. I'd rather you do 6 days, 10 minutes a day versus 3 days, 20 minutes a day.
Because that would enforce a habit. I see where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you want to start with? And you don't have to start there forever. So 10 minutes.
Yeah. We'll do 10.
You can do more if you want, but just
let's do 15 because it will take me to get all the way back around to my house. It would take me a good 15 minutes. So,
okay. So what do you call that? Is that a loop or lap?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, we'll call it a loop.
So your habit recipe is after I drink lemon water. Okay. I go for a 15-minute walk. Okay. Mm-hmm. Kim, what about you? Is this similar to you? Like after I drink my lemon water, what would you typically do for exercise on Saturday, Sunday? Nothing, or would you do something?
It just depends. I think that the biggest thing is like we, like I was talking to you earlier this week, we kind of travel a lot on the weekends. If I'm home, it's not a problem. Like I just hop on my treadmill. It's been crappy. Otherwise I'll go out and walk with my lemon water. We have a trail in our backyard also. So I think that the biggest thing is just the consistency when I'm not home.
Okay. So what's your anchor habit when you're traveling in the morning?
It's still the lemon water, I would say.
Okay. So or do you guys stay in hotels? Or are you staying in people's homes?
Right. So like, we're going to Vegas or whatever. That's like, mostly it's people's homes. So It's usually like one of my sisters or my parents or, something like that. And then the vacations fall maybe every other month. So.
Okay. Yeah. So I would probably look at, okay, what's my anchor? Lemon water. I would probably still go for a walk if I'm at someone's house, or I would, go to a gym if I'm in a hotel that has a gym after I drink my lemon water, then I would go to the gym and I would just schedule something for 15 to 25 minutes because that sounds like it kind of kicks everything else off.
It does. Yeah.
For what you're doing. So like a lot of this is just creating kind of like a new recipe for when you're out of town. versus when you're in town. Okay. Does that make sense? But by us focusing on the new habit, keeping it simple and keeping it basic, like what you guys can look at is say, okay, after I've done this for 5 consecutive days, I've accomplished this walk for 5 to 7 days. I can now up my time, say another 5 minutes or another 10 minutes. Okay. So let's just say you start with 15, Shoni. Within 3 weeks, you're going to be at 30 minutes. Okay. Within, say 4 weeks, you're going to be around 35 minutes, which is probably like optimal time anyways for walking. Okay. It's probably all you really need to worry about. But like I recommend 30 minutes a day. That usually probably is going to give you about 5,000 steps. And that gets you like halfway to where you want to be for the day. But I can tell you this, like the benefit of walking is going to be huge, right? Because we could listen to a podcast, we could listen to an audiobook, we could do both. Like a lot of times on my way out, I walk the same hill every morning. I pray on the way up. On the way back down, I listen to either a podcast or book. It gives me about 17 to 20 minutes each way. And so now I've got 3 things done in like that 30 minutes, right? Which is what I call habit stacking, which is a whole nother conversation another day. But like you want to find the thing. So the anchor is the anchor habit is the one that I do every single morning. The recipe is where I insert the new habit that I want to do immediately after the anchor. Okay. That's what always makes starting a new habit easier, right? And instead of focusing on a bad habit, we're going to focus on the new habit. Okay. So now that we kind of have that out of the way, the number 2 thing that we would do is now we're going to focus on stopping, okay, the bad habit or the old habit, the one that we want to get rid of. Okay. So we're going to focus on stopping the behaviors related to the old habit. Okay. So let's say, give me a bad habit you want to stop doing, Shoni.
Stop being a slave to my cell phone.
Okay. So is it stop being a slave to your phone or stop looking at social media?
Yeah, that would probably describe it better. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the biggest thing is like, we're going to design this to make it more difficult. Okay. Cause that's one of the biggest things that we want to do. And this is really like we design our way into a new habit kind of the same way. So I give you a recipe to start doing a new habit and we anchor it to your anchor habit so that we can implement the new one. Now, what I'm going to do now is we're going to redesign your bad habit so that we're going to base it off of 3 things, right? We're going to make it less motivating. We're going to make it harder for you to do. And then we're going to kind of remove the prompt in that. So think about it this way. Like a lot of times we rely on willpower to stop a bad habit. And that's just not good, right? Because, or motivation to stop the bad habit. Okay. And we often don't focus on the general habit that you want to stop. So give me kind of the habit of social media. Like what exactly do you want to stop on it?
I want to stop feeling like every time I say make a post that I have to almost immediately answer a question or respond to somebody that has, answered my post or whatever. It's like, I know I don't have to do that, but it's like, I'm so focused on doing that. And that's the main thing. That's even like we'll be sitting on the couch at night watching TV with my husband, phone lights up or makes a noise. And I'm just like grabbing it thinking, oh my gosh, I need to respond or I need to, yeah.
Okay. So stop checking my phone. Okay. So we're not going to focus on that general habit of stop checking your phone. Okay. Because a lot of times that's what we'll do. Right. Let me ask you this. What is prompting you to check your phone?
I guess thinking right now in my mindset, thinking it could be a potential client that I'm ignoring or something.
Okay. So, but that's not necessarily like so if it lights up, if it dings, that prompts you to check it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what is it? What would we call that? Like a notification? Does it ding out loud, or does it ding silently, or does it light up?
Well, it lights up and it makes a noise because I have my notifications on. I don't turn those off till right before I go to bed.
Okay. So it lights up, makes a noise. What else makes you want to check your phone?
I guess too, with me, of course, my kids are older now, but it's just me being in a different state from them right now. I'm always worried that I'll miss a call or miss a text from my kids. And
Is there a place in your house or something going on in your house when you tend to do this more? So like, are you watching TV? Are you sitting down? Are you bored? When do you find yourself, wanting to do this the most?
Honestly, it pretty much just any time I hear my phone go off. But
okay.
I think the problem would be more so it would be at night when I'm trying to have sit down quality time with my husband.
Okay. So QT with hubby. Okay. Anything else that kind of prompts you to want to check it?
No, that's pretty much those are the main things.
Okay. So we can do a couple things. Okay. So we could remove we can remove the prompt. Okay. So think of it this way. There's going to be three ways that we can get rid of the prompts. Okay. Your biggest prompts is you sit down, quality time with your husband. I'm guessing he likes watching a show. Maybe you're not as into it as he is. And you're like, hey, I'm going to check my phone. Right. Maybe just out of boredom. Or, hey, someone messaged you. So there might be a new potential client. So your phone makes noise. It lights up. Okay. So we can do a couple of things. One is we can remove the prompt. Okay. Which is usually the most effective. So I'm going to give you a couple examples. We stop checking social media, put your phone in airplane mode. So say like you sit down with your husband for an hour, 2 hours, you put it in airplane mode. All of a sudden, it's not there anymore, right? You could redesign your environment for this. You could leave your phone in a different room. You could turn off the notifications. You could put it on silent. And I actually recommend doing this throughout the day. This is one of the big things that I see a lot of people do is they constantly check their phone throughout the day. And it becomes a habit, right? Social media was actually created for us to do that, right? That's why like when you guys get a comment or get a like, it kind of like you feel that hit of dopamine go up. It was meant to do that. It makes you feel important, but the best way is really to redesign your environment. So what I would say is for this, we can look at a couple of things. So we have avoid the prompt. So stop, going to the places that you feel, the prompt. So could be one is maybe sitting down in your living room, watching TV, could be a place, or, typically we want to avoid people or we want to avoid places that give us that prompt. So it'd be like, if I was wanting to quit drinking, right, then probably showing up at a bar, which is the place, is probably not going to get me to do that. Right. If I want to avoid maybe, sugar, going out to my favorite dessert place probably isn't the best idea, right? Because now I'm putting myself in a place that's going to get me to want to prompt to order that. Now we could talk about people. We could be around certain people who might trigger us to prompt us to want to do a habit or something. Does that make sense? So when we avoid it, we want to stop going to places that would make you feel the prompt, or we want to avoid people that might make us feel that prompt. Okay. Number 3 is to ignore the prompt. And that really relies a lot on willpower, right? And so willpower is not something that usually works very well. Okay. Somebody has to have a lot of skills. It's really difficult and it's not the best solution because I think eventually we kind of break down, or it's only something that we can do for a season. Okay. So the best thing for you is if we were to look at, let's say, just a swarm of behaviors over here, what's a new behavior that we could put in that would help us remove the prompt? Okay. On this side. So what could you think of? So if your phone makes noise, what's a new behavior that we could potentially do to where we don't get triggered anymore by that?
Turn the sounds off.
Okay. So silent mode. Okay. So what's another behavior? If my phone lights up, what could I do with my phone, or where could I put my phone to where I don't see that anymore?
I could just leave it in another room.
Okay. So leave it in another room. Okay. And then if the overall goal was to spend quality time with my hubby, what's a new behavior I could do, versus like getting sidetracked with my phone?
I guess just try to like be totally, in the moment with him and concentrate whatever we're watching on TV. Maybe it's not my favorite thing. Lord knows he watches plenty of stupid crap that I like. So, just be more.
Okay. So maybe talking to him and like you guys playing a game or something where you're like talking to each other. Like maybe you have 3 questions, right? I mean, you guys usually have pretty good questions. So like having 3 questions ready. You're like, hey, tell me about your day. Like, how did it go? And then that kind of kicks it off. So you could have like your own little player's card of like, oh, these are questions asked my husband.
What's funny you should say that. He bought a game for me for Christmas, and it's a bucket list thing. So you go through it and you read, it has different categories. You read it and it's like, done that, going to do that, whatever. So I guess that would be a good thing to. Although I have no problem talking. So,
I'm sure you don't. I mean, typically the ladies don't. It's the guys. Like, how was work? Good.
Right.
How was your day? Good. So of silent mode, leave it in another room, playing the bucket list game, which one is the easiest one for you to do?
Probably talk and play the bucket list game.
You think that's easier than leaving your phone in the other room?
Well, just because right now I'll be like focused, like, oh my gosh, is my phone, am I missing something on my phone? That's what I've got to.
Cool. Okay. So let's start with this. And maybe you guys, so here's the other thing is like, we're redesigning a habit. So like, okay, so maybe we only do this for 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So new habit, the habit you're going to stop is checking your phone. Okay. But the new habit that you want to do at night is meeting with your husband and playing this game for 5 minutes. You can go longer if you want, but that would do that. Now throughout the day, I would maybe make one of these for your phone to where you might leave it in another room. Okay. So you don't see it making noise or light up, or maybe you put it in airplane mode for 45 minutes while you work and focus on one thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you guys are on your laptop or something like that, and you're still hearing all those things, I would close out Facebook. I would close out anything that's going to distract you. Now, if these don't work, then we're going to get into focusing on swapping out. Okay. We're going to focus on swapping out a new habit or an old one. So what that is like, hey, if it didn't work on starting the new habit, so let's say, it didn't work. Like you went home tonight, or you guys sit down instead of the bucket list game, which is your new habit. You guys watch TV again. So now you're right back to where you started. Okay. So we got to get specific on the habit that we want to swap. Okay. So new habit is stopping checking my phone. Old habit is stop checking my phone. Okay. New habit is, what's the new habit?
So like if the game one doesn't work, the new habit should just be, I just leave it in another room until I develop the habit.
Leave phone in other room. Okay. We'll just say for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Okay. For 30 minutes. The biggest thing with that is we're going to go through like kind of a step of thinking of like, okay, what is the impact of this? What's the motivation you want to do? And then the ability, like, do I have the ability to leave my phone in the other room? Am I motivated to stop checking it? And then do I have the skills to actually do that? Okay. Because a lot of times, like what we don't realize is like this actually takes skill, right? And forming a new habit oftentimes takes skills. And so people don't really look at it. So I got to practice a skill. So think of like, stop checking my phone is actually a skill that I have to have, right? Because this is something that I've made a habit of doing it. And so if I want to stop doing something, I actually have to develop a skill in doing that. If the skill doesn't work, then, I'm not going to do it. Right. And so I have to make that habit easier if I want to practice the skill of being able to do that. So I make the new habit easier. I make the old habit harder. Okay. Well, how do I make the old habit harder? Is I remove the phone from where I am in the room and I put it in a different room. Now I've made it harder to do. And then that new habit that's easier, leave phone in the other room, my new habit. And so technically my new habit is to be present or is to be focused on, my work or whatever. Does that make sense? Okay. The behavior that I'm going to do this is I'm going to be present for 30 minutes, but I'm going to leave my phone in another room and that's going to keep me from checking it. So I made my new habit easier. I made my old habit harder, right? Which is all about behavior design. Okay. Some tricks you can do, okay, is this, because here's what I know. Checking your phone gives you a hit of dopamine, okay, which changes the way that we feel. Okay. Sometimes what happens is we want to insert a habit that, let's say, checking my phone gave me a hit of dopamine, right? Whether it was Facebook, whether it was a message, something like that. My new habit has to actually match that dopamine. Okay. So what I could do, I leave my phone in the other room, but I get that craving of wanting to check my phone. So I may do like 2 to 4 push-ups. Okay. When I get that feeling come up. Okay. And so what's going to happen is we're going to match dopamine with what? Dopamine. Okay. So I get the same feeling I would get when I check my phone, but now I'm actually doing a habit that makes me feel better about what I'm doing. Okay. So I'm matching dopamine. Okay. Now here's the cool thing about exercise. Exercise is one of the only habits that we can do that give us the same feeling of dopamine as, social media, checking our phone, as alcohol, as drugs, as, porn, as all these other negative or disruptive habits. Right. But exercise is really the only thing that matches those in the sense of dopamine. One of the things that I've noticed is that if I can match that with something else, or even I don't know if you know what a plank is, but you could even do like 20 or 30 seconds of plank. I would say this: find an exercise you can do for 15 to 20 seconds in your redesign. And then that way, you've now matched that same feeling that you're going to get on social media. Okay. What you'll find is social media will get less and less attractive to jumping on it all the time. Okay. And you might be doing a lot of push-ups or planks throughout the day. But what'll happen is you'll start becoming aware of your patterns and your prompts. Okay. Any questions on this?
That makes sense.
Okay. What are you learning from this?
Just that, well, it makes sense, like the dopamine or whatever from something that what I thought was I enjoyed or whatever, that turns out to be kind of a negative. Honestly, I would have never thought to do something like, some little form of exercise, when you have the urge to do it. I mean, it's like, I'll tell, my clients, if you have the urge to go eat something sweet, do this instead. Well, I never thought to turn it around on myself. So,
well, remember this too, is sugar is giving you the dopamine, right?
Yeah.
So hey, instead of, well, one, we have to redesign the environment. So maybe instead of keeping your sugar in the same drawer you keep it in, put it up somewhere where you'd have to grab like a stool, right, to get to it. And then you could say like, listen, instead of grabbing a piece of sugar or grabbing a piece of candy, do 20 seconds of planks or 20 seconds of squats. And then at the end of it, if you still want your piece of candy, like grab it, but at least you did something to get it. Okay. Right. So with this is like, you're just understanding how to match, dopamine with dopamine.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And so a lot of times we try to match, say I'm getting dopamine from something, but I'm trying to, like, it would be like reading, right? Oh, I'm going to read, and that will exchange. Instead of checking my phone, I'm going to read. Well, guess what? You'll be on your phone reading. It'll just be social media, right? Because we're not exchanging the same equal amount of dopamine. Okay. That's why I like exercise as a form of our way out. Now, the last piece of this is, you're going to do your push-ups, or what are you going to do? Push-ups, planks? Like, what do you?
I'd probably do a plank. That would make more sense for me.
Okay. So 20 seconds of planks. Instead of checking your phone. Okay. Then after you do that, you got to celebrate. So after I do planks, okay, after I crave checking my phone, I will do 20 seconds of planks. Then I will celebrate. Okay, so number one way that we reinforce any habit to continue doing is we have to celebrate it. So how are you going to celebrate at the end of that? Now, it could be anywhere from like 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, doesn't matter. Okay, but the number one way you reinforce a habit is by celebrating it.
No, what would be a good way to celebrate that?
What's a way okay, so like right now, if we were to celebrate you or you were to celebrate me, what would you do? Would you like clap? Would you be like, yeah? Would you cheer me on?
Whatever. Yeah. High five.
Okay. So if you're doing it for yourself, then what would be a celebration?
Probably clap for myself, pat myself on the back.
Okay. So you want to say something, right? So like, what would you say to yourself?
Good job.
Is that so? Okay. So go ahead. Say good. So you're going to celebrate for yourself because you're going to do this at the end of every time. But if you don't feel like you're celebrating yourself, you won't keep doing it.
No, I'll be like, good job, Shawnee. Way to go.
Okay. So do it like you mean it now.
Good job, Shawnee. Way to go. Yay.
All right, good. Okay. So now we have this. After I crave checking my phone, I will do 20 seconds of plank and then I will celebrate. Okay. And then I'll clap my hands and say, good job, Shoni. All right. Or you can do, the fist pump, yes, let's effing go. Right. That's what I do. I want you to write this down for the next week. This is what you're going to work on.
Yep. Got my notes right here.
Okay. So anytime you feel like you start craving checking your phone, you could drop down, do planks, celebrate, and then be like, yes. Okay, cool. What are you taking away from this whole thing? Does this make it easier? Is this simplify some of what you're doing?
Yeah. I mean, and it adds a little fun to it too,
Okay, so, cool.
Yeah.
Now you can take any habit or behavior you're doing and run it through the same thing. Okay. But I'm guessing this is probably number one for you, and it's costing you a lot of time to check your phone and then get sucked in.
Yep.
Okay. Which I will say this, for most entrepreneurs today, I would guess they're spending 5-6 hours a day on average on their phone. That's not even counting their computer. And so what's happening is, they're coming up, I don't have time. I don't have this. I don't have that. But like part of the reason is because it's the dopamine that your phone and the social media is giving you. Like there's a reason why there's likes. There's a reason why there's comments. There's a reason why there's all those things on your phone, and it's to keep you plugged into it.
Yep. That makes sense.
All right. Carla, what are you learning from this?
I just learning a different way to change a habit
Okay, cool. So what's different about this from what you've, done for you before?
It's more in like the way that you break it down, because the way that I know how to do it, how do I explain? It's very similar, but there's like something extra here. I think the extra is more like writing it down, because I always celebrate after I accomplish something or after building a habit, or actually accomplishing the thing that I wanted. But it's more of like the end part of like, after this, I'm celebrating in this way, even though consciously I know it, like writing it down is just a different part to it.
Okay, cool. Any other questions on this for you guys and what we've kind of went through today?
No, I don't think so, but it's
Okay.
a lot of good information.
The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse